Hey, Tim Sykes here. I hope you're having a good weekend. Just wanted to make a quick video on the top two stocks that I'm watching and two deadlines that are coming up that you should be watching. If you go to my blog, timothysykes.com, you will see I wrote a blog post on Friday about these two key deadlines, October 3rd and October 15th. What happens on these days? Well, October 3rd, if you read this whole blog post, it's a little bit technical, but basically, the market regulations are changing a little bit for roughly over 1,000 stocks. They're doing this test program for the next 2 years where on these, it's 1,200 stocks exactly. They're going to be testing out different bids and ask spreads. So normally, like you see, a stock is trading at, let's say, $4 a share, and the buyers are at like $3.99, and the sellers are at like $4.01 or $4. So the spread is 1 or 2 cents. On this test pilot, the market regulators are going to test a spread of 5 cents a share. So it won't be like $3.99 by 401 on the bid and ask. It'll be like $3.99 and 404. Everyone's asking me, what is this going to do? I'm so worried. Is this going to be good or is this going to be bad? For me, if you read this blog post, I just don't care that much, okay? I'm sorry. Whatever the market regulators decide, if it's 2 years, the test, if the test succeeds, if the test fails, I don't care. I react to what happens. I don't try and predict. I don't get worried about things I can't control. Oh no, are we going into a recession? Oh no, are penny stocks going to be over? There's always going to be opportunities because small companies have to hype themselves up for 2 reasons. Number 1, the insiders are going to pump up the stock and sell their shares at inflated prices. Or number 2, they're going to pump up their stocks so they can raise a financing and they can pay themselves with inflated salaries for years while making it look like they're actually trying to build the company even though they're just milking the company for salary. So, and bonuses and expenses. So that is the beauty of small cap stocks. I'm not trying to guess which companies are actually really going to make it or not. I'm understanding how the game works and I'm taking advantage of that. If the bid and the ask, the spread is a penny, 2 cents, 5 cents, even 10 cents a share, I don't care because I'm not a scalper. What this is going to affect are people who are trying to buy on the bid and sell on the ask and they make 2 cents here and they make 3 cents there. That's going to be tougher for you guys. But guess what? Scalping sucks anybody. Anyway, okay? I've never really met any truly successful scalpers. Most of them have to be chained to their desks every day. They have like 5, 10, 20 monitors because they're trying to make a penny here, 2 cents there. They have 10, 12, 15 positions at a time. They're making 20 bucks here, 30 bucks, 50 bucks. And while that sounds, good, okay, you're just making a few pennies here or there, it adds up. Well, guess what? Sometimes you're going to be wrong trading these random patterns and you're going to wipe out 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years worth of work because you bet so big. Sometimes you use leverage, you're working so hard, and sometimes the stock is going to move too quick and you just lose so much. And that is the life of a scalper. It is not the life for me. So for me, I don't care about small bid and ask changes. I don't care about small commissions. I don't care about small fees. I'm trying to predict when stocks are going to move 20, 30, 50, 100% in a few days. I'm personally probably going to screw it up because as you see, if you follow me long enough, I trade very safely, very cowardly. I'm not trying to guess the exact bottom or the exact top. I'm trying to take the meat of the move. So when I take the meat of the move, I don't care about these little 2, 3, 5 cents a share. Oftentimes, I screw up. I don't care about small gains or small losses. These are scratches to me. They don't build my account very much. And that's why October 3rd to me doesn't matter. But I'm getting so many questions from you guys, and I have to answer that in this kind of way. I'm sorry that I can't give you a clearer answer, but I just take it one trade at a time, one regulation at a time. I have no opinion either way. And frankly, I wish more people thought like this instead of worrying about things you can't control. The second, more important deadline is October 15th. Because I don't know if you realize this, but this guide, traderchecklist.com, it is 11 hours, 100% for free. And I'm not going to tell you what happens on October 15th, but just trust me, you're going to want to watch the entire guide by then. So I am filming this on September 25th. So you have roughly what, 40 days. I'm not even that good at math. 40 days, not 40 days, 20 days to actually watch this. So a half hour a day if you watch the entire guide by October 15th. And if you really want to be dedicated, watch an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. This guide is so key to learning everything. Okay? I'm not saying it's like the best guide ever, although reviews on Investimonials will say that. What I am saying is that this is a new way of looking at stocks, and I numerically grade every stock, every trade setup, so that you're not just like, oh, this is a buy, this is a sell. I grade everything on a scale of 0 to 100, and you will see why I like trading stocks that are rated 70 to 100, 80 to 100, 90 to 100, because they have better odds and they have better setups. But by October 15th, you must watch this entirely. You have no excuses. It is entirely free. You just have to go to traderchecklist.com, enter your name, enter your email, and you'll get instructions on how to watch this 11-hour guide for free. I should also mention, as some of you have pointed out, I did not do a chapter on short selling with this scale. And the two reasons. One, when I was making this in June and July, short selling was absolutely terrible. So I wasn't really focused on that. And two, I did this, right before my Maldives trip. So I was kind of in a rush. So in the next, I would say, week, I'm going to be actually adding probably 2, maybe 3 hours worth of chapters on short selling, and something that I discovered at my annual conference a few weeks ago, which was pretty cool. So I'll be adding more chapters, so stay tuned for that. But please, 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 by October 15th, 20 days, watch all 11 hours, take notes, watch it multiple times, and trust me, you're going to want to do this by October 15th. You could ignore me and just watch it later, but you're going to regret it. Please go to traderchecklist.com and watch it for free. I have to beg to you. It's kind of sad. At first, during my annual conference, this was released like I guess like a week and a half or 2 weeks before my annual conference, and 8,000 people started the guide and 42 people had finished it. We see all the viewage statistics. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's just sad. And now I think maybe 300 or 400 people have finished it. But so many people are willing to start, but you're not willing to finish. It doesn't count if you just watch a half hour or an hour of it. I want you to fully understand this new stock grading system. This is really not that bad. It's not a boring guide. It's very useful. Go check out reviews on Investimonials. Go leave one if you actually watch this. You'll see. People are loving it, but I don't know what else I can do besides giving you a deadline to watch this. So you have 20 days. Now let's get to the top 2 stocks that I'm watching for Monday. SAEX was a big low float runner from the 6s all the way up to the 10s. I was actually shorting this on Friday during my live webinar, and I was shorting it right in here in the 960s, thinking that it would, possibly do a morning panic and take out these lows of 9, and we could get a nice panic down to the 8s. That didn't exactly happen. So I was shorting it in the 960s. I covered like in the 940s. I mean, I made a few hundred during my live webinar, but it didn't really start fading until, nearly 2 p.m. And that's when we got the big crack from the support here at 9, and it went down to the 8s. And I thought about shorting it overnight, but with these low float runners, you just never know. I mean, there's no real news. Most likely it does come down probably to like the low 8s, maybe even the high 7s. But there's always that risk that if you're wrong, if there is some kind of news on Monday, and it spikes up to 9 or 10 all in the first minute or two. So for me, it's not good risk reward shorting it here over the weekend. Although I thought about it, I was very tempted to short 2,000 shares here, right around 850, and possibly make 1,000. But when you can potentially lose so much money so quickly with a low float runner, even though it finished down on Friday, it still spiked nearly $2 a share pre-market and near the market open. So it was kind of scary. I didn't really want a scary trade over the weekend. As I said earlier this year, short selling wasn't working that great. Now short selling is actually working better. So I would suggest you learn short selling, and even if you don't short sell, It's good to understand short selling so that you can see when a potential short squeeze will happen so that you can really buy. I don't like people who think, oh, I'm just going to focus on buying. I don't need to know anything about short selling. Short selling is part of the market, especially with these low price stocks. So it would be a mistake for you to just ignore a whole strategy. The stock that I did short over the weekend is MACK. I'm not going to have a big win on this either way. It's been spiking a little bit lately, but it's never really held on to its spikes for very long. It's choppy, but it spikes, drops, spikes, drops, spikes, drops, spikes, drops, spikes, drops, spikes, drops, spikes, drops. So this latest spike, probably not the end-all spike. It's probably going to drop. It's just a question of when and how much. We got a nice Friday morning panic. Actually we got a little Friday squeeze at first, but then a panic from 630 down to 570. And then it kind of tried to come back here and break even on the day. But when it failed to break even on the day and it was finishing just slightly red, I was shorting it here in the low sixes. Got a nice fade into the close. I'm up a few cents a share. But the question is, can it really come back to this 570 level? And, whether it comes down to 570 and double bottoms, or if it comes down to 570 and crashes more, I'm happy either way. If I make 30, 40, 50 cents a share on this, that's new best case scenario for me. So this isn't going to be a huge win, but, it's a solid setup, and I like solid setups. So for me, it's about safety first, thinking about risk reward, even if I'm not necessarily going for a home run. And that brings me to this point that I wanted to make before closing this video out. SAEX this is my live short during my Friday webinar. As I said, my challenge students saw me make $250. Very small trade. Did not get the panic I wanted. But one student said this, same shit every time, nothing huge, took a small profit, blah, blah. And, I thought this was a really ignorant comment. Not because he's wrong. I mean, oftentimes I do have small profits. But guess what, Nico? This is how I trade. You should not knock someone's strategy when they show every single trade over years. Whether they win, whether they lose, you see how my profits add up over time. And Nico, is very short-term minded, very narrow-minded. It's not his fault. I know a lot of people like him. You see these small gains and you're like, this is so frustrating. There's no home runs. And this is why I made a video lesson the other day reviewing my September trades, because if you actually go to timothysykes.com on the right-hand side, actually, let me go to the home page. You will see all of my trades here on the right-hand side. And it's very important that, yes, guess what? I do sometimes make $182 or $22 or $600 or $250. But I also make $2,000, $1,500, $1,500, $1,400, $1,300, $1,800. And my losses are all small too. So Nico and everybody who kind of it's tough for you to understand that not every trade is going to be a home run. But look at the overall profit chart, okay? I know it's difficult. I know it's frustrating. I know you want every single pick to be amazing. But you can't make that happen. And you shouldn't not trade just because you're like, oh, this is just probably going to be a small gain. Some small gains can turn out to be huge. Some potential small gains. So let me explain this a little more. I aim small, I miss small. And this is why I think this lesson is so good. MACK, at best, I'm going to make 50 cents a share. At worst, I might lose 5 or 10 cents a share if I'm wrong. Most likely, I'm going to make 10, 20 cents a share. So if you look at the spectrum of possibilities, it's probably going to be a small win for me. It could be a big win, or it could be a small loss. Very, very unlikely for me for this to be a big loss, given, its chart and my mentality of cutting losses quickly. Obviously, anything could happen, but my mentality is to cut losses as quickly as possible Monday morning, if I am wrong by any means, which could happen. But we've seen these morning panics, and it's very nice. Compared with SAEX, which I easily could have shorted, and this one, I'm guessing that short sellers probably will make 50 to 75 cents a share on a Monday morning panic. But if they're wrong and there is some news or there is some squeeze, it will be probably impossible to cut losses very quickly. And you might lose $1 or even $2 a share. So for me, it was not worth the risk. Even though I think this thing is going to drop, if I'm wrong, the risk is much greater on this one than it is on a stock like MACK. So I chose the safer option. And that's usually what I do. So Nico, when you leave a comment like this, same shit every time, yes, it is the same shit every time. But my shit, I don't think is that bad, because my shit has made me a millionaire and now several of my top students millionaires. So you need to get your shit together and think, wait a minute, small losses are okay. Small gains are okay. Was this a bad trade? If you were on the webinar, no. Actually, you would see that I did the trade mainly not even just for a big potential gain, but also because I knew it was educational when a stock was going green to red on the day, and we'd see how it would happen. You know, whether it would be a big panic, whether it would put up a fight, whether I'd be wrong. It's educational either way. So for me, it's not just about the monetary goals, it's about the educational goals. So Nico, perhaps you should learn what my shit is all about. And I should also mention that SAEX did crack later in the day, so I was on the right track. I just didn't get the big morning panic that I wanted, which is okay. Sometimes you're going to be wrong about what a stock is going to do and when it's going to do it. That doesn't mean that you should not do that trade. I'll give you an example. SORL. This was a small potential gain that actually worked out really nicely and made me quite a bit of money. Even though, you know, I covered some. Does it have all my covers? No, it doesn't have all my... Oh, because I did this on a live trade. Normally I send out, you know, alerts or commentary, but I've also been doing more live trades lately. So if you actually click this video, 2 videos, you can see why I entered and why I exited. But SORL, this was an overnight short also, and it was a first down day, and I was shorting it in here in the 440s, got a nice close. My thinking was that it would crack this support of 420 and have a potential morning panic, which is exactly what happened the next morning. And this was a very nice, surprisingly solid win on a very small speculative position. So lately I've been trying more shorts on the first down days. SORL was overextended, as you can see in here, and I was shorting it right here on this first down day. I could have been wrong. This was a first down day, and guess what? It didn't drop, and it squeezed. But if you understand short selling and you understand how early shorts can get squeezed, and that actually makes it better for shorting later as the early shorts have already panicked, this was a fantastic overnight short. I was already up a few cents a share, just like my MACK, and I got a big morning panic, and on a very small position, you know, I made over $1,000. I covered half of my position into the close just to play it extra safe, because that's what I'm all about. So this actually coulda, shoulda, woulda been, you know, a $2,000 plus profit if I was more gutsy, but I am not gutsy, nor will I ever be, nor do I encourage you to be gutsy. So I really think that it's good for you to learn how to play safe trades like this, even if you cover a little too quickly, because guess what? This is what really adds up over time. Sometimes you're going to win 1,000, 1,300, 1,500, 1,500, 1,800. RSYS. Here's another good example. This was in my long-term account, and this was a very small potential trade, you know, and I got this live on video. I actually have to send this out to my long-term newsletter subscribers. And I was just thinking, okay, RSYS, let me potentially dip by this. There's a nice multi-month breakout here to 570, but I'm not going to chase it because it has a habit of coming back and not really holding its spikes. So I waited and I waited, and there was tons of support here at 525, as you'll see me when I post this live trading video. So I'm buying it at 530-ish. What am I risking? 5 cents a share, maybe? And guess what? It bounced nicely, and I sold, and I made nearly $2,000. Very small trade. Nothing huge. I did not expect this to go, oh, this is going to go to the 6s or the 7s. But I aimed small with the goal of missing small if I was wrong and profiting small. But sometimes these trades can really play out, and I make 5–10%, and you make a few $1,000s on a small position. So let me go back to this trade. Nico, I'm sorry to call you out like this, but this is how I trade. This is my strategy. Aim small, miss small. And it's okay if I make small or if I have small losses, because every now and then, if I stick to my rules and I take good setups again and again and again, guess what? I'm going to do very well over the long run. So I encourage you, Nico, to be more long-term oriented in your thinking. And maybe your profits would not be zero after that. Thank you.